Susan Robin Bender entered the world on November 27, 1970, in Modesto, California, as the sole offspring of Patricia Chupka Bender. On April 25, 1986, at the age of 15, Susan embarked on a weekend visit to her friends in Carmel by the Sea. She strolled to the Greyhound bus station, situated on 10th Street and G Street. While awaiting the bus, serendipity led her to encounter some acquaintances to whom she disclosed her coastal excursion plans, assuring them of her return in a few days. Following their conversation, Susan made a call from the payphone at the depot. Approximately 10 minutes later, a full-sized 1977 Ford van, colored olive green, pulled up to the scene. Without hesitation, Susan entered the vehicle, marking the last known sighting of her. In the 1980s, it wasn't particularly unusual for a 15-year-old to have a significant degree of independence. Susan's mother, Pat Bender, assumed that her daughter had safely arrived in Carmel and was enjoying herself with friends. However, as the customary phone call from Susan failed to materialize, her mother's concern grew. Consequently, she reported her daughter missing on May 1, 1986. Detectives swiftly arrived at the troubling conclusion that Susan had encountered something ominous. A detective even conveyed to the local newspaper, "We possess compelling evidence suggesting the involvement of foul play in Susan Bender's disappearance." Susan's mother had disclosed to the newspaper that Susan had previously run away twice, but on those occasions, she had promptly returned home. She explained, "We had a few good months together before her sudden disappearance. There were no signs she was planning to run away." She also mentioned an unnamed male individual of interest who was found in possession of Susan's diary, phone book, and clothing. Pat expressed her concerns, saying, "I fear that she may have been targeted by a man the police questioned but never arrested, despite the substantial circumstantial evidence against him." The police consistently held the belief that Susan had not voluntarily gone missing. Detective Richard Rio, who worked on the case until his retirement in 2000, expressed his grim suspicion in 1987 that Susan was likely no longer alive. In 1999, Susan's mother lamented in an interview, "The police have indicated that there's little they can do without a body." Detective Rio echoed in that same year, "Susan Bender seemed to vanish without a trace." What's truly baffling about this case is the complete absence of any information or leads over all these years. No one has ever stepped forward with any knowledge of her whereabouts. During 1999, the unsettling actions of two childhood friends from Linden, California, named Lauren Herzog and Wesley Shermantine, drew attention. They targeted young women in the Stockton area and raised speculation that Susan might have been one of their victims. Many of their victims remained unidentified. While authorities couldn't definitively connect Herzog and Shermantine to Susan's disappearance, it was a possibility given that she vanished during the period when they were engaged in their sinister activities. Susan's disappearance seemed to align with their typical victim profile. However, despite extensive investigations into Herzog and Shermantine's crimes, no concrete link to Susan's case had ever emerged. During the 1980s and 1990s, a spree of violence unfolded, claiming the lives of multiple females, with the number of potential victims exceeding 15. Meanwhile, Susan's unresolved case persisted for nearly 4 decades, with investigators maintaining contact with her family and friends, who remained dedicated to keeping her memory alive. In 2021, Sandy Silveria, a close friend of Susan, voiced her concerns, stating, "Where could she be? What happened to her? Whoever is responsible for this must be brought to justice." In October 2021, the Modesto Police Department made an announcement that marked the reopening of Susan's cold case, driven by the determination to finally locate the missing teenager. The department released a statement saying, "Upon re-evaluating this case, we have identified potential avenues for progress, including the application of technological advancements. Given the nature of the crime, we also believe there may be previously unidentified individuals with crucial information regarding Susan's disappearance." Modesto's cold case investigators had been hopeful that the passage of many years since Susan's disappearance would encourage witnesses to come forward and share information. In a statement issued by the police department in 2022, they emphasized the importance of remembering Susan as a child with a family and expressed their commitment to assisting in providing closure after 36 years of unresolved pain and seeking justice. However, on Thursday, August 17, 2023, the Modesto Police Department made a significant announcement. Raymond Lewis Stafford, a 76-year-old individual, had been arrested. Stafford's arrest took place on August 15 in Wills Point, located 50 miles east of Dallas, where he had resided for approximately 5 years. Remarkably, Stafford had managed to elude law enforcement for decades, seemingly living in plain sight. Detectives had obtained an arrest warrant on August 10th, but it wasn't until the following Tuesday that members of the Van Zandt County Sheriff's Department in Texas arrived at his residence and took him into custody. The arrest proceeded without any incident, and Stafford was subsequently booked into the Van Zandt County Jail, facing charges related to Susan's tragic loss of life. Modesto police refrained from providing additional information regarding their assessment of Susan's situation. Stafford, presently incarcerated in Texas and awaiting extradition to California, became a suspect in a manner not yet disclosed by detectives. When inquiries were directed to the Modesto Police Department and the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office by newspapers and local radio stations regarding the circumstances that led to Stafford's arrest, no responses were received. Moreover, there has been no disclosure regarding the specifics of Susan's fate, the possibility of her remains being located, or the new evidence that prompted charges against Stafford. In an official statement, the Modesto police expressed their gratitude to the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office, the California Department of Justice, and various Texas authorities for their invaluable assistance throughout the extensive and challenging investigation. They stated, "The collaborative efforts of these agencies have played a pivotal role in bringing closure to the case of Susan Robin Bender." Detectives, suspecting foul play from the outset, quickly identified a potential suspect. According to court records filed in Stanislaus County, their investigation led them to link the green van to Stafford, following his arrest on unrelated burglary charges, approximately a month after Susan's disappearance. Notably, Stafford's identity had not yet been made public during this period. During their inquiries, detectives discovered that Stafford had briefly worked alongside Susan's mother, Patricia Bender, at the time. Patricia mentioned the possibility of Stafford forming a connection with her daughter after making calls to their residence. Court documents indicated that Patricia had indeed worked for Stafford for a brief period in 1985 at his security business, and had also admitted to dating him on a few occasions. As a result, Susan was acquainted with Stafford, and it was his rental van into which she had been observed entering at the bus stop. According to her friend, who witnessed the events of that fateful day at the bus station, Susan had entered Stafford's van without hesitation. Furthermore, a woman who cohabited with Stafford during the 1980s disclosed that he had confessed to strangling a female using a cord or wire and burying her near the entrance to Yosemite's Big Oak Flat. Court records revealed that Stafford claimed to have driven to a campground near the Big Oak Flat entrance to Yosemite National Park and dug the grave less than a year after Susan's disappearance. At the age of 38, Stafford entered the race for Modesto City Council in July 1985. During the campaign, he faced inquiries from the local newspaper regarding his criminal history. Stafford responded by explaining that his prior arrests were a result of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, citing charges related to operating an unlicensed private investigator business and carrying a badge indicating he was a private investigator. Despite his campaign's emphasis on policies aimed at protecting children from predators, he was unsuccessful in the election, which came as no surprise. Just 5 months later, in December 1986, Stafford found himself convicted of arson and admitted guilt to making a false police report. In a bizarre twist, he allegedly staged a fake kidnapping to evade appearing in court. In 1994, Stafford once again drew the attention of law enforcement when he was placed on an offender's register under the alias Greg Tunningly for the alleged abuse of a 13-year-old girl in California. Subsequently, new court records revealed Stafford's true identity. Pat, the mother of the victim, disclosed that she had long harbored suspicions that Stafford was connected to her daughter's disappearance, especially after uncovering evidence of a clandestine relationship between the two. Pat revealed, "Since my daughter went missing, I've harbored a deep-seated knowledge that he was the one responsible right from the beginning, but the investigators didn't heed my words." Pat confided that this belief had haunted her for the past 37 years. She continued, "It felt like I was adrift, like I was a living ghost. It pained me to hear others talk about their grandchildren and children." For Pat, the memories of her 15-year-old daughter kept her going. She remembered Susan as an outgoing and funny teenager, just trying to find her place in the world. Throughout the years, Pat never lost hope, but the search for her daughter was an excruciating journey, until now. She expressed gratitude for the system finally taking action, saying, "I'm thankful that the system has finally chosen to step up and take action, instead of leaving me in uncertainty." Those closest to Susan are eager to discover her whereabouts, with the hope of giving her the farewell they believe she deserves. As she faces the final chapter of this ordeal, Pat shared that forgiveness towards Stafford, the person she believes is responsible, was something she had come to terms with. She explained, "I know it may sound unusual, but I've forgiven him for what he did to my daughter. I truly have, because I wouldn't want to carry that burden for the rest of my life." The recent arrest has lifted a heavy weight from her shoulders. Pat concluded, "I'm not looking forward to how the trial unfolds. I just want Susan's remains to be found. My message is a simple one. Start listening to your children, kids.